So for a while, Disney thought Roger Rabbit was gonna be a big thing. And yeah, certainly the movie was, and we're still talking about today, but the character hasn't really shown up in that many things. Like, okay, there is still a ride dedicated to him, that is something. And every once in a while he might show up in the background of something or other, but you know, he's not a big name like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or any of them. But in the 90s, they did make a big push, and so they released a bunch of shorts before movies. Yeah, you remember those? Like, Pixar tried to bring him back, and no, are they still? I don't know. Pixar's still trying to bring Pixar back, I feel like. However, these shorts are normally overlooked, and I don't think they should be. A lot of people worked really hard on these, and there's a lot of jokes in the foreground and background, and there's good slapstick and verbal jokes and animation, and it really does a good job trying to create kind of that old school Tex Avery type of style while also being its own unique thing. I guess it makes sense to go over each one individually, seeing how there's only 3 of them. The first one is Tummy Trouble, that show before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I think it's cool that if you ever want to purchase a poster of that movie, the short is always advertised on it. They quickly set up the scenario similar to how the first film opens. It's a short where Roger has to look after Baby Herman, Baby Herman gets himself in trouble, and Roger always has to save him, somehow getting himself injured. In this one, he swallows a baby rattle. He has to be taken to the hospital with some funny cameos in the background. But the rattle accidentally goes from Baby Herman into Roger, meaning he's the one that has to be operated on by some pretty demented doctors who don't believe in aesthetic. The short establishes a few running jokes. Like I said, you have the setup of Roger always trying to protect Baby Herman, kinda like Buttons and Mindy before Buttons and Mindy. Jessica always makes an appearance, which I kinda liked. I always wondered what cartoon she starred in, and actually back then I could kinda see this as like, again, those old Tex Avery cartoons, there usually be a pretty lady doing a dance, and usually she would be in a red dress, so it kinda makes sense she would show up in all these. Droopy always makes a cameo, which at first makes sense here because he was the elevator operator in the movie, and then he just got the biggest laugh, so they kept putting him in all the shorts. I guess Maroon got Dumbo, half the cast of Fantasia, and Droopy on his team. And usually they have to end with a live action sequence showing them wrapping up the shoot. Which even in the first film, I always loved the idea that all of this is just done in one shot. Like, how would they do that? It's like the cartoon equivalent of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a lot of fun and it's got good laughs. Next one up is Roller Coaster Rabbit, which was played before Dick Tracy. Out of all of them, this one's probably the best. This time around they go to an amusement park, which is already a great environment. And once again, Roger has to protect Baby Herman, who's going after a balloon, and of course, making his way into places he doesn't belong. Like the previous one, there's a lot of good jokes in the background and foreground, and there's some good wordplay and of course good slapstick. But it switches into full gear as soon as they get on the roller coaster. If you're someone who loves to ride roller coasters like I do, you just love this part. This is taking what roller coasters can do and just taking it to the most energized, craziest extreme. This coaster both seems really tightly compact and yet seems to go all over the place at the same time. The joke that kills me is when they go in a tunnel, all you see is their eyes flying around, then the eyes bump into each other, they form legs, and they start running around the room. That is just so bananas to me, it makes me howl with laughter every single time. It's hard to explain in great detail why this whole section works, you just kinda gotta see it, you gotta experience the energy and the speed and the creativity of it. If you're a fan of slapstick, you just have to check it out. Oh, also, my mother didn't like the way this ended for some reason.
What's the matter, Toots? Afraid of a little bang?
Oh, I get it, oh, very cute.
The final short is Trail Mix-Up, shown before a far-off place. Because there's nothing like watching a zany cartoon with a rabbit and a baby just before you see your family murdered before your eyes. Now, this is the only one not directed by Rob Minkoff, and oh man, that's a hard act to follow. I mean, how do you top the guy who directed The Lion King? Okay, it's pretty good. Trail Mix-Up, again, puts him in a different environment, this time putting him in the woods where they go on a camping trip. Baby Herman is attracted to a beaver. And so am I, for that matter. Okay, that ranger outfit wears her good. Anyway, Roger chases after him, a bear gets mixed up in there too, and they all end up on a sawmill, where of course they have to avoid getting chopped up into pieces. You can definitely tell the style's a little different in this one, and out of the 3, this is probably my least favorite, but it is still really, really funny. I think after watching Roller Coaster Rabbit, I'm just riding this incredible high of like energy and excitement and just ready for the next zany, super fast slapstick. And this one still has a really good speed. I get the feeling if I didn't watch Roller Coaster Rabbit before it, I'd think it's a lot better. But because these 3 are usually shown in that order, it is hard not to compare them. It does maybe have my favorite live-action ending where they fly offset towards Mount Rushmore, and Mount Rushmore actually screams as they're flying towards them. Now that's funny enough, but they actually went to the trouble to sculpt a Mount Rushmore screaming just so they could blow it up. I gotta give credit, must have really sucked sculpting this thing just to have it be blown into a million pieces later. Also, Roger kinda destroys the world at the end. Yeah, it's a little odd, but again, that's kind of what I want from these shorts. And that's really what these shorts are. Odd, silly, incredibly entertaining, and of course, funny. It was kind of cool seeing animated shorts like this run back then, and I'm not gonna act like Disney was the only one. There were one or two other studios that would attempt to do that, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I love the artistic shorts that would usually play before a Pixar film. They're very well done, and I think honestly we need more of them. But I do also kind of miss just the silly, zany, pointless slapstick. Like, it doesn't have to teach a lesson. It doesn't have to be about something really deep or make you cry or anything. It can just be fun. These shorts are very well directed, very well animated, very well written, and they want to do nothing but give you an enjoyable time. Roger may not be as big a name as Goofy or Chip and Dale, but one thing the character knows how to do in one way or another is make us laugh.